Okay, so my name is Itamar Friedman, CEO and co-founder of Qodo, and I'm going to talk about, vibe coding, but more on the confidence part, and why, this is maybe surprising, why CLI might be the new interface leader for that. We are soft launching a CLI tool right now, 5 minutes ago, so you can go and install it. It's soft launch, play with it, give us feedback. There is some capacity. And in order to verify who is in the audience, just if you can tell me if you tried Claude Code or Codex CLI. Okay, and I guess if I ask about IDEs, you would also do that, right? And the question is why, and I'm going to talk about it a bit, okay? So the agenda is that I'm actually going to do is really zoom out to the Gen 3.0. What do I mean by that? And from the autocomplete to the multi-agent workflow. And workflows, you see it's a theme that we're returning here. CLI is something that can support that. And how do we believe at Qodo is going to be the real shift in software development? And why is the CLI is the future in being able to do vibe coding with confidence? And eventually I'm going to zoom out again. I'm going to zoom in, zoom out, even with a demo, and connect the dots. And I will explain a bit what is Qodo. I didn't do it right now, and we'll do it a bit later, but that's something I'm going to cover shortly. So AI for developers, and I just think that most of people here are developers, according to the amount of hands that were raised. So I think we first got some tools that we liked, AI tools. Then we got some tools that we loved, and I'm not that sure that we actually get tools into our hands that completely become a game changer for us. Okay, it's maybe unpopular opinion. I'm going to elaborate a bit. So in order to do that, I'm going to differentiate developers between noobs and enterprise. It's a bit weird. It's not necessarily juniors. There are juniors in enterprise, right? But still, let's use that for a second. Noobs versus enterprise. So I think Gen 1.0 was the autocomplete moment, right? We started being able to generate, writing our code and getting a few lines ahead of us. We really liked that. If you weren't a developer, you couldn't really do more, right? So you needed to be a developer already. And then came the Gen 2.0, the chat, the agentic chat, and I think we saw even junior developers generating much more lines of code. Maybe the seniors or the enterprise liked it, but also had a lot of problems with it. They need to review much more code, not necessarily high quality code. I hear that a lot, and I'm going to show you 500 tweets about it. Not really, but from some opinion leaders. And I think that the game changer moment is when we will move from chat, agentic chat, to actually being able to, and as a spoiler, command line interface, to give commands to our agents as if they're team members and they do end-to-end flow. What is an end-to-end flow is something I'm going to talk about a bit. And I think you will see different players in different parts of this map, different tools. Let's think about it again. So I think in the autocomplete moment, we saw first ID plugins. Again, it's not a game changer. I'm just going to complete more lines of code for you. We liked it. And then let's rethink how we do coding inside ID. So we saw ID forks. And then what's the third wave? Sometimes I hear forking people. I didn't say that. What I think is actually we're going to see is AI across the SDLC. Okay, being able to do end-to-end flows that are specific, closing a task that is specific in the SDLC, but more importantly, using AI across the SDLC. Again, not only in the ID, hence, how do we do that? Command line, right? It's one of those tools. A lot of spoilers. So I think when we had the aha moment with the autocomplete, the next aha moment was all the hype around vibe coding, and I'm going to touch about that. And I think the next thing that I think we're going to hear about is hey, I'm really doing 100x, choose a number, 10x, 50x, 100x development, and I'm doing that with confidence, not just vibing through it. I think that will be a game changer moment for us. It means that we totally broke the way we work. We're going to get to that. So I think I separated between noobs and enterprise, for example. I think for noobs, it means end-to-end means, for example, that you prompt and get a fully managed software for you, right? I guess we're all playing it with, even if you're a developer, you're doing some POVs or some side or being able to do some simple games. But then in the enterprise setup, in the heavy duty setup, then basically what means for us like AI across the SDLC is reliable, versatile workflows. And when I say workflows, we had a few sessions, amazing sessions. I'm actually like combining them, and which is one of the points that were made there. Like I think Charles made a point where an agent is creating workflows and calling them, and then there was a discussion about like workflows and using agent, etc. So when I say workflows, I already mean agentic workflow. Let's move on. Like workflow agent, who cares? So it's going to be combined, and I think like in order to do that with trust, you need to be able, more importantly, is to have workflows or agents that are related to trust. For example, having really high quality reviewing capabilities, really high quality testing capabilities, being able to do a variety of jobs to be done that we do as developers in end-to-end-ish in high quality. So that will be a game changer. Let's be a bit more specific. As developers, we do a lot of things, not just write code. I took like 4 parts, which is like, I think, less than a half of what we do. And I think like basically vibe coding was very focused on let's like do initial planning and write code fast, like, and vibe, whatever we get, like that implementation or that, we feel it and move on. But actually in heavy duty software, we need to do many other things. We need to do, for example, bug fixing, or we need to do refactoring and changing features, etc. We want to move fast without breaking things. So I think we need to have not the testing and the writing as a hand site, which you can do, like testing and reviewing inside IDE tools that are very mature, but not as a hand site, but rather like really being the red team, right? Thinking as a tech lead that is reviewing code and having like fitting technology for that. So if we are able to put like AI in each one of those like parts, maybe then it will be a game changer. But I think even then, like we already have tools for code review, for testing. Shameless plug, we're going to talk about later. That's what we do at Qodo. We focus being more on the red team. Even though we have tools for the blue, we are focused more on the red team. Still, I don't think it's a game changer. Okay, and I think like a first feeling of a game changer, as I mentioned, not only putting AI across the SDLC, but having workflows across parts of the SDLC. So one semi-game changer could be like if we manage to shift left the review and the testing. Is as you write code, then you also get those suggestions and get high quality code that is already according to your company best practices, and you don't need to wait for the AI review tool to tell you that only after you pushed it, right? But I think like I think we have even a better way to do that, a bit more agentic. So let's reanalyze these 4 blocks, these 4 tasks. So instead of having one, like the x-axis, now there's also y-axis. It's executability. If you know the V-shape in Wikipedia or whatever, where we're searching now, ChatGPT, V-shape, software development, y-axis, executability, x-axis, time. So we start with planning. It's not executable. Then we write code. In most cases, you're not doing, admit it, like a TDD, okay? So you write your code, and then you write your test, and in most cases, and that's executable, but it's not application code, so it's a bit higher. And then you do the review. A game changer is like when we actually manage to take that V and squeeze it, and have like different workflows and agents talking to each other. And that's why like I had the word MCP and A2A, and I'm going to get to that later. I guess like if you're in this conference, you know what I'm talking about, that where maybe there's different agents that are talking to each other. Maybe it's one agent using tools that are able to connect all of these like all at once. That will be a game changer. So to some extent, what it means is that like the game changer moment is when we're looking all of these steps like rigorously and one holistic solution. If you like, cloud is mature for 10 years, and then Wiz came and said, we can't put in a security application for each part of the cloud, like or each necessity of security. Let's build one holistic solution for cloud security. The same thing will happen to us in the game-changing moment for intelligent software development. Zooming out back again to vibe coding with confidence, it didn't happen a long time ago when Karpati wrote about vibe coding. really like I thought it's like a decade already in AI years. And the interesting thing, it didn't take too much time, like a month or two, where we started seeing pushbacks, right? This is not me, by the way. And actually, just a few weeks ago, the same Karpati came back and rethought vibe coding. Notice what he's saying, like code I actually and professionally care about, contrast vibe code. The same Karpati, okay? And it's really interesting, I think, to analyze what he's saying. The first thing he's saying, okay, code that I care about, probably heavy-duty software, or I like the quality, it's maintainable. We are going to get to that. And then he tries to offer solution. I love him. I mean, like, I never met him, but we all saw his videos, right? Like 15 years ago, 10 years ago. So he's giving solution, not only like being annoying, like, okay, no, I said vibe coding, no vibe coding anymore. So first he's saying, the first number one is context. He's saying, like, bring context. Here he's saying doing it manual, but that's not game changer if now I need to start bringing it manually. And then he's giving also 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Like, this is a workflow. He's actually suggesting a workflow. That's one of the topics of the 3 talks that we had now, okay? So now, like, this is really important, I think. Like, how do you vibe code with confidence? You need to, like you said, it's like just vibe coding, probably you don't care about quality. You do care. You need to bring the right context and have workflows. And these workflows can be connected to agent, could be part of the agent, could be part of your flows. And that's, well, like in the 9 minutes or so, some things I'm going to talk about. Karpati and others are not the only one. This is just like from a week ago. If you know this, a very great person, great material. He's saying, like, AI coding tools are so much less useful on existing large code bases. Okay, he's saying that, and this is differently than compared greenfield work. And it's not surprising because if you have a greenfield work or it's a simple software, code generation is all you need, okay? Like, it's magnificent, the tip of the iceberg, give a prompt, you get your software. But when you're talking about enterprise heavy-duty software, then there's much more than that. We all know it, right? There is a maintainability, testing, reviewing, et cetera. And shameless plug, well, I am the CEO of Qodo, I have to say, we are looking at that as a holistic, like, how can we really bring a game changer moment is if we look at all of this at a holistic approach. That's why we have a multi-agent architecture. I am not going to go over it one by one because there's one specific thing that I wanted to show. So we have a tool, we have an agent that is focused on, let's call it deep research, deep ask in code. And then we have a tool that is specific. That's our flagship for code review called Qodo Merge. And then finally, we have like a tool that is inside IDEs that enables to shift left, like bring that context, bring that best practices that were collected over time. The Qodo Merge tool, the code review tool, collects best practices over time. And the context that is coming from the Qodo Aware and the best practices coming from Qodo Merge, helping you rather whatever code generation tool you're using or using directly Qodo tool to make sure that that's in high quality. But recently, like 20 minutes ago, we released also a CLI tool. And that is meant to help you with the workflow parts. The workflow is already integrated into our solution, but this like really a workflow on steroids. There's another thing very important that is coming out in 2 months, and stay tuned, follow us, whatever, any platform that you want. I kind of like didn't want to show it right now. So CLI tool, why? I hope like I gave enough like hints so far. And the main reason is putting AI to work across the SDLC. And I remind you that starting 5 minutes ago, you can go download it and play with it. It's a soft launch. We're going to announce about it more deeply like in a couple of weeks. So interestingly, who saw Simon's like talk? Like, he's magnificent. What? Some people didn't? Okay, so please go out of the room, I mean, and then come back after and watch online later. And it's amazing, like, when he wanted to demonstrate something, did he open, like, one of the IDEs? He did not. Like, everything he did was with a CLI tool. Like, that's, if you're a developer, like, that's the idea that you can run it in the background, you can run it in different workflows, you can make workflows. That's part of what I'm going to show you. And basically with Qodo, the CLI tool, which is live here, then I can, for example, chat with it. And very interestingly, that is quite, like, there are a few tools that we talked about before that you can do that. But interestingly, you can call agents. For example, I can call the explain agent. It's a dedicated agent. Due to lack of time, I'm not going to show that. I'm going to show something else. So how did we made this explain agent? You can actually, with Qodo the agent, you can make other agents. And soon I'm going to show you how you also create workflows and things like that. So basically, I can go and ask it, if the internet works well enough, you can go and ask it, please create an agent with this goal. And by the way, you can like give much more information than what I'm doing right now. I'm asking for it to create a review agent, okay? If then it works, it's going to start working. It's initializing MCP. It's going to search what it can do, what it cannot do. And now it's going to work for a few minutes, okay? Like if I would ask you to do it, you would do it, take it in 2 hours. So let's give it 2 minutes. Meanwhile, I'm going to progress and tell you that I think one of the interesting things about it's working. So one, most agents, like I can't think of one that won't, would have tools. For example, the Qodo cover agent, by the way, we have an open source for Qodo cover. It's a tool that automatically generates coverage. It increases the coverage, automatically increases coverage, but you don't need anymore to go download this open source, etc. You just get it as part of as one of the agent, okay? So, but if you do want to play with the open source, etc., it's fully open source, okay? Back to my point, I can go and call Qodo cover, which uses different tools. For example, it uses tools related to coverage reports, I can look what I can do in a command line. I can tell it dump all the logs somewhere, right? How do you do that with an ID plugin? You can, but you need to hack it. But the interesting thing, what can we do with command lines? And many here are developers. You can pipe tools together, agents. You can pipe like workflows, etc. So I want to run Qodo code, generating code, and then I want to run the cover that, like, you know, increase the coverage testing. Maybe the code will generate a few tests, but I have an agent that is specializing in increasing coverage. And then I want a review agent that is now cooking and finished. And I'll go back to it in a minute if I have time. Now, this is not no agent-to-agent communication. I did a pipeline that just passed the result. But what if we can, and before I exemplified with MCP, but what if we can invent a command line for A2A? So those agents will run in parallel as you go, and they will have some communication between them. So I actually have to say that yesterday we had like 50 like people like those that you had speakers, and I asked who is using A2A. No one is using it, so it's still a way to go. But this is an example. Oh, yes, come talk to me later, so I will know one person. Okay, thank you. So. And then I'll edit all the posts. I know one person, but we're getting there. Okay, this is an example. You need multiple agents. You need A2A. You would want to use it if you want discoverability between agents or handshakes. So this is a good example if you have many agents and you can run them in the background, etc. So in this case, the agent finished, and I have the definition. I have the definition of the agent over here. It's called merge agent, and you can see like everything, the instruction that was made for it, like what tools it is using. I'm going to add one that sometime I want to be very clear it's there. And by the way, it also has like a output scheme. I'm going to remove that for a second, okay? And then I can go back and just call it. It was called merge review, Qodo merge. Review agent that was just generated a minute ago, and it will review. I didn't give it any. You see that there's a parameter automatically created, like I can tell it what to review, etc. Give instruction. It's very flexible, but I didn't. Okay, so I'm almost lack of time, so I won't show you, but what I just will tell you that basically I can tell it to use best practices from the organization, important for vibe coding with confidence, and I can also tell it to have some success or failure criteria to know that something happened well or not. For example, if it managed to get some coverage, okay, that's how you work with confidence. Yeah, and you can connect things to pre-commit, post-commit. Everything you can do automatically. Very interestingly, and with that, almost reached the end, Very, very interestingly, you can say the CLI tool is very lame. But did you notice what Simon did? He used the CLI, but eventually checking content, he used different interfaces. So you can, from the CLI itself, automatically generate interfaces that are fitting for your task. And one of those, for example, is an interface for code review. So who cares anymore about IDEs when you can have flexible IDEs? And with that, I'll finish, and I'll just tell you that I think we're going into a future where we're going to have swarm of agents, each one specializing and having different credential, different best practices, et cetera. And it's coming really fast, 2025, 2026. Thank you.